Hello everyone, a very good morning to all. So in continuation with our discussion of p block elements, we are going to discuss today the oxides and hydroxides and the oxy acids of group 13 elements. So this is the third video for the p block elements unit 1 where we were discussing about the group 13 elements. We have already discussed about the general properties that the trends of different properties in the periodic table for group 13, and we have discussed about the hydrides. Now we are going to discuss about the oxides and hydroxides of group 13. So oxides of group 13 are generally the sesquioxides. By sesquioxide we mean when there is the ratio of group 13 element to that of oxygen is 1 is to 1.5, or we can say 2 is to 3. So example is B2O3, where the ratio between the boron and oxygen is 2:3. So whenever the ratio between the metal or the any element and the oxide ion is 2:3, then these oxides are called as sesquioxides. Sesqui in general means 1.5 times. So that is why the name is given, that is sesquioxides. So the boron in general exists, always exists as it is very reactive. It exists in the form of its oxides or oxo compounds. So B2O3 is typically acidic oxide because boron is having non-metallic character. So this is a non-metallic oxide, and as we all know that the non-metals, the oxides of all the non-metals are acidic in nature, and for that, for the metals, the oxides are basic in nature. So this is a non-metal, so that is why the oxide of boron is acidic in character. Now the preparation of boric oxide, this is called as boric oxide. So B2O3, it will be prepared, it can be prepared by the dehydration of orthoboric acid, that which is having the formula H3BO3. Firstly, we'll get metaboric acid from orthoboric acid, then with further heating, we'll get boric oxide. This boric oxide is also the anhydride of this orthoboric acid. That is, if we do the dehydration of orthoboric acid, will get this anhydride. The corresponding anhydride for orthoboric acid is boric oxide, that is B2O3. The reactions of B2O3, now we'll be discussing about the different reactions, how B2O3 react with NaOH. So with NaOH, sodium metaborate is formed, and about the anhydride we have already discussed. So here we are discussing the hydroxides. So oxides and hydroxides are having similar trends, so we are discussing both oxides and hydroxides side by side. So here it is BOH thrice, that is hydroxide of boron, which again it is a reaction of hydroxide with alkalis. So with alkalis, the hydroxides give sodium borate and water. Next we have the oxide of aluminium. So oxides of aluminium, how these are prepared: aluminium oxide, that is Al2O3. This is also a sesquioxide. It is also called as alumina. For its synthesis, what we do is we burn aluminium in oxygen, and this is also called as thermite process. We get Al2O3 in the solid form, and a large amount of energy is released in this reaction. This is highly exothermic reaction. So Al2O3 is actually, and as B2O3 was acidic oxide, Al2O3 is an amphoteric oxide. By amphoteric, we mean that it can react both with acids and bases. So with acids, it will give us aluminium sulfate, and with base, it will give us this compound NaAlO2. Al2O3 has two crystalline forms, that is alpha Al2O3 and gamma Al2O3. So rest of the oxides are also known, but for rest of the elements, for rest of the group 13 elements, these oxides are known, but they are not very stable, so they are very less studied. The next important and stable oxide is that of thallium oxide, where thallium is in +1 oxidation state. But before that, I would like to show you the reaction of Al2O3 with alkalis and acids. This is, as this is an amphoteric oxide, we have already done the reaction of oxides, but here the reaction of hydroxide has been shown. So with alkalis it will form NaAlO2, and with HCl it will form AlCl3. So this is how these react with the hydroxides and oxides react with both acids and bases. So the thallium, again coming back to thallium oxide, here the thallium is in +1 oxidation state, Tl2O. This is a black hygroscopic solid with melting point of 596 degrees Celsius. This readily gets hydrolyzed and gives us corresponding hydroxide, which is strongly basic. Uh, so this compound, this TLOH, reacts with HNO3. As it is basic, it will react with acid to give salt. So if we see the acidic or basic character, the order of basic character for the oxides and hydroxides down the group. So as we move down the group, the size is actually increasing. So we can say the ionic character in the bond for BOH bond or BO bond is increasing. So that is why the basic character is increasing as we are moving from left to right in this series, or we can say from top to down in this group. So next we have oxyacids. Oxyacids of boron we'll be discussing here. So for oxyacids, the boric acid is the one which we'll be discussing in detail. But before that, what are oxyacids? Oxyacids are those compounds where the group for which oxyacids we are discussing, to the element here, E is representing the element which we are studying. So that element is connected to oxygen, and oxygen is further joined or further bonded to a hydrogen, ionizable hydrogen, due to which it is an acid. So these are called as oxyacids, where ionizable proton is bonded to the oxygen atom. So boric acid is the one which we'll be discussing in detail. This is also called as orthoboric acid, to be precise. So actually boric acids are of 4 types. These are orthoboric acid, metaboric acid, pyroboric acid, and tetraboric acid. So here we have shown all the 4 boric acids. So here first one is orthoboric acid. Here you will have to memorize its formula H3BO3, and rest of the other boric acids you can get from this one. So if you remove one water molecule from this boric acid, we'll get the second boric acid, that is metaboric acid, after just subtracting one water molecule. And from metaboric acid, if we multiply this metaboric acid with 4 and remove one water molecule, then we'll get tetraboric acid. Here it will be multiplied by 4, we'll get H4B4O8. We'll remove one water molecule and we'll get tetraboric acid, that is H2B4O7, after removing one water molecule. So the fourth one is pyroboric acid. It's this you will have to memorize just like boric acid. So here you can memorize it as a ratio between B2O3 and water is 2:3, as in the as was observed in sesquioxide oxide. So these 4 boric acids, or within these 4 types of boric acid, are they are having the only difference in them is the ratio between B2O3 and water molecule is different in these compounds. These are that how many water molecules are there. This is they have, based upon that they are having different structures. So next we have, now we'll be discussing about the preparation of boric acid. We'll be discussing H3BO3, that is orthoboric acid, in detail. So for the preparation of orthoboric acid, the first preparation is it is prepared from the hydrolysis of diborane. As we have discussed that orthoboric acid is obtained whenever we hydrolyze different compounds of boron. So from the hydrolysis of borane, from the hydrolysis of boric oxide, we'll get boric acid. This is also prepared on the large scale from borax. Hot concentrated solution of borax is used. It is treated with HCl and what in the presence of water. So we get boric acid and NaCl, which on cooling gives us H3BO3. The boric acid crystallizes out and we get pure H3BO3. It is also prepared on a large scale from a mineral called as colmanite. So this is the formula for colmanite, Ca2B6O11.5H2O. So this is dissolved in hot water, and when it reacts with water to gives us calcium hydroxide. Now this calcium hydroxide is slightly soluble in water. Along with that, it gives us boric acid. So when this mixture is formed, these both are having slight solubility in water. So in cold water, both these compounds are not soluble. So they'll be obtained as solid. We'll get the mixture of these compounds. Now how to separate this? So for separating this boric acid from the calcium hydroxide, what we do is we'll pass SO2 gas and convert this whenever we get the formation of this compound calcium hydroxide, we'll pass SO2 gas over this. This calcium hydroxide will get converted to highly soluble calcium bisulfite. So this calcium bisulfite is highly soluble in water. It will dissolve in water, even in cold water it is soluble. So when we'll cool this mixture, what we'll get is we'll get calcium bisulfite, which is dissolved in aqueous medium, and H3BO3 will crystallize out there, and which can further be recrystallized for purification. So this is how from colmenite this boric acid is obtained and how this is purified. So coming to the physical properties, this boric acid is a flaky, white, transparent, crystalline solid which is sparingly soluble in cold water and readily soluble in hot water. Now coming to the acidic character, this boric acid, that is BOH thrice, or we can say H3BO3, is a monobasic acid. It does not donate protons like normal acid. It is actually a Lewis acid. So what will happen is, as it is an electron deficient compound, so it will react with water. It will accept electron pairs from the hydroxyl OH negative ion, and then it releases water. So once the octet is complete, so then it will release water. So it is not a protonic acid, but it is a Lewis acid, which accepts electron pair from the hydroxyl ion. So as an acid, BOH3 reacts with alkalis, or then it will react with alkalis. It will give us sodium tetrahedral metaborate. Now this is an acid-based reaction, but this is not a normal acid-based reaction where both are concentrated. Are strong acid. These are not strong acid or strong bases. This is a strong base, but this is not a strong acid-based titration. When we'll be titrating, this will not get clear endpoint, because this sodium tetrahedral metaborate which has been formed here, it will decompose back to give the reactants. So to stop that reaction, to stop the backward reaction, what we'll do is we'll consume this product which has been formed there in another reaction. But what we'll do is during the titration, we'll add some glycerol, or we can say catechol. What they will do, these are the polyhydroxy compounds which form complexes with sodium tetrahedral metaborate, and which will not allow the sodium tetrahedral metaborate to further hydrolyze to give back the reactants. So this is the way these these glycerol molecule has been shown here. So here these react with this sodium tetrahedral metaborate. So what will happen is 4 water molecules will get removed from here. The hydrogen will be removed from here and OH from here. So one water molecule here, one water molecule will be removed from here, one from here, and the last one from here. So 4 water molecules are getting this is losing 4 water molecules, and the formation leads to the formation of this complex, which keeps the reaction going in the forward direction due to the consumption of this sodium tetrahedral metaborate which has been formed, which otherwise will react with water and will hydrolyze in the presence of water to give back the reactants, and endpoint will not be clear. But in the presence of this polyhydroxy alcohols, polyhydroxy compounds, this endpoint is clear. The examples of polyhydroxy compounds which are generally taken are catechol and glycerol. So next we have the reaction of boric acid with ethanol. It reacts with ethanol in the presence of concentrated H2SO4 and leads to the formation of alkyl borates. We'll get alkyl borates when this boric acid reacts with ethanol. So this triethyl borate, which has been shown here, it is volatile, which when ignited, it burns with a blue flame. So this indicates the formation of this compound. Further, the action of heat on boric acid, this is an important reaction, that what happens when we heat this boric acid. So firstly, when we heat this boric acid, we'll get the formation of metaboric acid by the loss of one water molecule. Further, from metaboric acid, it will further lose one water molecule at 160 degrees Celsius from the 4 times the formula, that is, we'll get tetraboric acid, and further, which is red hot, which is heated till red hot, and we'll get the formation of B2O3, that is boric oxide, which is anhydride of these boric acids. So next we have reaction with HF. This is also an important reaction where H3BO3 reacts with HF to give further a stronger acid which is called as fluoroboric acid, that is HBF4. with the reaction with HF. Now coming to the structure of boric acid, structure of boric acid has been discussed here. So here we have BO3 3 negative units. Here boron is having 3 electrons, 2s2 and 2p, 1 electronic configuration in the ground state, which in the excited state, one of the 2s electron will get promoted to 2p. So these 3 orbitals, that is 1s and 2p orbitals, will undergo hybridization to give 3 sp2 hybridized orbital, which will make bonds with 3 oxide ions as shown here. So this is how BO3 3 negative is formed, that is hybridization is sp2 hybridized. So the structure of this H3BO3, it exists as there is hydrogen bonding present in the structure. So it exists as two-dimensional sheets of H3BO3 with cage-like structure is present as in water molecules. So here in this structure, you can see that each boron is having three covalent bonds with 3 oxygen atoms, and each oxygen is having 1 covalent bond with boron, 1 covalent bond with hydrogen, and 1 hydrogen bond with hydrogen of neighboring boric acid. And each hydrogen is having 2 bonds with oxygen, 1 hydrogen bond and 1 covalent bond. So also you can see here that this the hydrogen bridge which is present here, one on the one side there is a hydrogen bond, on the other side there is a covalent bond. So this is present on the straight line, or we can say there is an angle of 180-degree here. So this is the condition of representation for hydrogen bonding. This is how we represent hydrogen bonding, that the 2 electronegative elements which are present on the sides of hydrogen are always present at 180 degree Celsius, 180-degree angle. So this is all about the structure of boric acid. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about halides of boron, or we can say halides of group 13 elements. So this is it. We have discussed the oxides, hydroxides, and oxyacids. Thank you so much. Have a good day.